It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome. Thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you.
As always. We've been talking about the insanity when we were on vacation last week. I mean, just everything from, the ballroom to the Democratic State Senate candidate who was up by 30 points with the Nazi tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
The Jay Jones thing, is still going on. It's just, the Mandami going on, him with the imam. And it's interesting because there are liberal Democrats that know this and are like, what the hell's going on? One of them is Bill Maher. He was on with Kate Bedingfield. Was she with Obama? Who was she with? I think she was with Obama. But
yeah,
she's CNN now, I believe.
Yeah. Listen
to this back and forth here.
Okay.
Because it's the whole thing about Cuomo going after Mandami now. Talking about the fact that he's a Ugandan citizen. And we'll let Bill Maher explain it. Here we go.
All right.
The issue now that Andrew Cuomo is bringing up in New York is that he is a Ugandan citizen. Uganda is a country where they kill homosexuals.
So somebody who is a dual citizen can't be mayor of New York, or
I would renounce if I was the dual citizen with a country whose policy, government policy, was we kill homosexuals. Yeah, I would renounce that citizenship. I don't. And he also.
I think that is buying into a fear framework that is not
fear
good.
Of killing homosexuals.
It's not good for the country. It's not good for the country.
You shouldn't be afraid of that.
And I think the way that Cuomo is closing out this race and really race baiting and really leaning in on
that's
what
not
if
right.
he were mayor and something like 9/11.
No, you know what? Just because
I don't think that's good for the country.
I understand, but just because something is done by people in Africa doesn't mean it's always okay.
These people are nuts. She's trying to make the case she's trying to make is you're running for the mayor of New York City.
Yeah.
You have dual citizenship.
Mm-hmm.
You're Ugandan citizen. The official policy of Uganda is this.
Yeah.
I don't believe. Well, no, that shouldn't be brought up from Cuomo. That's an unfair thing to bring up. Bill Maher sees the problem. You're talking about killing homosexuals.
Right.
Yeah, but that might get people upset, so we shouldn't bring it up.
Right.
Well, it should get people upset if your country's official policy is to kill homosexuals.
Right.
You're defending it that he should shut up about it and just keep quiet about it. Well, this guy has radical beliefs to believe that he already believes in. Does he believe in that portion of it?
If he were the Republican candidate, he would have been out of the race months ago.
Yes. It's just
now, technically
bizarre.
speaking, as mayor of New York, if you're running and you're a Republican candidate, you're pretty much out of the race from the beginning. But what I'm saying is, it's clearly not the same standard. They're going out of their way to make excuses. And as you brought up, you said before, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. When they can justify his assassination, the assassination of Brian Thompson. When they can, again, doesn't apply to all, but it is right now, of course, the attacks on ICE and everything else. When you don't have the entire party, and I mean Democratic Party, standing up saying, no, this is unacceptable. And sorry, that's as good as an endorsement for that kind of behavior. And when it comes to, all right, so the guy's got a swastika tattoo. Look, Is that such a big deal? You're trying to call Trump Hitler. The guy that's probably right now being hailed as a hero by the people of Israel, by the Jewish people of Israel.
He's the Nazi, right?
Is the Nazi.
Well,
the guy with the Nazi tattoo might not be a Nazi. You never know.
Well, that's why, again, you and I coming off a vacation, we both got the same thing, which was like you get away from it for a couple of days, and you just when you hear it, just in the process of not living the regular life that we lived. Okay, we got to talk about it on the show tonight, whatever. But just going through it, it just seemed to get more insane and more insane and more insane as we went through the week last week. And if you've been listening to the show for any length of time, how many times have we said, well, here we are on Monday, what will it be by Friday? And that's the way it was, because the No Kings protest was the first day that we were off.
Yeah.
On that Saturday, and then it just went crazier all the way through the week. And you just say to yourself, is there any end to the craziness from the left, from the Democratic Party?
Yeah.
Is there any craziness? Are they going to attempt to justify anything? This is beyond. It's way beyond the normal things of how much should we spend here, how much should we spend there?
Right. Yeah. Right.
I mean, it's way the thing that's really getting the headlines, and not that there wasn't some talk. And by the way, I do believe that the Republicans are doing the only thing that they can do, which is hold a vote on everything. Okay, we're not going to open the government, but we're going to pay these people. We're going to pay these people. We're going to pay these government employees. We're going to pay the air traffic controllers. We're going to do this, and you make them vote against it at every, at every single point.
Yep.
And so I believe they're doing the right thing there. But that still was secondary to just all the insanity, because we've often talked about when politics becomes pop culture, that there's a difference.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the minutia of what is going on doesn't make it to pop culture.
Right.
What makes it to pop culture is the insanity. Oh, the guy with the SS tattoo. Everybody's got the Totenkopf tattoo, as they call it, skull and bones, whatever, which the SS used to wear. You know, the Nazi symbol. And it's like, yeah, well, they were saying that Elon Musk, when he was waving, they caught the picture in a still picture. Say it's a Nazi salute. Well, if you looked at the entire thing in its context, it wasn't. How long did that go on for?
Oh, man, that went on for a while.
I know.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a day.
Right.
And are there any Nazi thoughts coming out of his head?
No.
No, not at all. I mean, when you put it into full context, the anti-Semitism that came from Democrats. By the way, has anybody on the left who is anti-Israel and pro-quote Palestinian, Hamas, are they yet happy that there's a ceasefire that they were screaming for over and over and over again?
Right.
And so really it started with the No Kings protest and everything that would happen after that last week. And then Montami with the Imam and
oh man.
And then the victims of 9/11 basically trying to make the case that it was Muslims. I mean, it's just his aunt, and it's just it's crazy, because there was all the time after 9/11. What was still going up in hate crimes? What was still the worst hate crime against Jews?
Yep.
We know that. The figures all show it.
Yep.
There wasn't a huge uptick in violence. And as was brought up by many people, well, yeah, when you've got all the liberals in New York City talking about after 9/11, the day after, that the problem is not that we were attacked, but the fact that there could be. You better be careful if you're Muslim. You better be careful if you're Muslim. You better be careful. The message was out there day in and day out, day in and day out. So if he came and said, well, my aunt was a little scared, well, she was told to be scared over and over and over and over and over again. By whom? The left.
Yep.
So, yeah, just But that's the perfect one right there with Bill Maher. And you could see he was getting visibly frustrated. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Well, it's not right to bring that up because it's not the right thing. It gets people angry at each other. Well, it should.
Yeah. But it's, again, it is the excuse making. The difference is that there wasn't as much conversation in the past on things with the left that were clearly a problem, except for coming from the right. You didn't have the general conversation about these things like you do today, the mainstream conversations about these things, where some even on the left are going, yeah, this is stupid. Because it's gotten so insane. It used to be where they could get away with certain things. Where that's, yeah, okay, well, well, think about Biden. I mean, his association with segregationists and the whole thing that went on for the longest time.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much all of Biden's history. You go back to the Obama years. When it was known, now we know it was known by the Obama team of the problems with the corruption in the Biden family. But we've been saying for years, that means there were insiders inside D.C., including people in the liberal activist media, that were well aware of this and have been for a long, long time and never said anything about it. They go out of their way. In the past, what they could do is bury it. I think that's the difference in the point I'm trying to make. They could bury it in the past and just pretend it didn't exist. But today,
they run on it.
Well, they run on it. They're proud of it. They're calling Luigi Mangione, he's a hero for the assassination of Brian Thompson from some on the left. You look at the, people who were celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk on the left.
Yeah.
They're proud of these things. Look at the anti-Semitism after October 7th. Here stateside, it was over the top. Remember the group of people at the, was it a restaurant or coffee shop or somewhere where they were blocking Jews from going into the bathrooms?
Yep. And we've stated this. We stated this a long decades ago. We talked about this. And we talked about the identity politics of the left, judging people by groups and not individuals. There's only one path that leads you down, and it's exactly where the Democratic Party is today.
Yeah. Yep.
Here, the New York Post wrote about the whole Bill Maher thing with Kate Bedingfield. Bill Maher denounced socialist New York mayoral frontrunner Zoran Mandami for campaigning with a terrorist and called off the Democrats' refusal to renounce his Ugandan citizenship in a fiery clash with CNN political commentator Kate Bedingfield on his real-time show. Maher was defending former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo following the liberal backlash over his comments about Mandami and 9/11. Cuomo was criticized for seemingly agreeing with the conservative radio host who said Mandami would have cheered if he were mayor during the 9/11 attacks. Remarks that drew the anger of Bedingfield. I'm talking about what Cuomo's doing, suggesting Mandami couldn't be the leader in a terror situation if he were leader of New York, Bedingfield said during Friday's show. Well, Mandami did campaign with a terrorist this week, Maher said in response, before doubling down on his point. Well, he campaigned this week with a guy who was an unindicted co-conspirator in the 1993 World Trade Center bombing and served as a character witness for Omar Abdel Rahman, the terrorist who organized it, he said, referring to an image of Mandami alongside the suspected terrorist. I just don't know if this is a great look for the party. You could have been more definitive. It's not a great look for the party. Maher and Bedingfield also clashed over Mandami's dual Ugandan citizenship. You make it sound like he's a little more mainstream than I think he is. I mean, the issue now that Andrew Cuomo is bringing up in New York is that he's a Ugandan citizen. Uganda's a country where they kill homosexuals. So somebody who's a dual citizen can't be mayor of New York, retorted Benningfield, triggering a sharp response from Bill Maher as we played. If I were a dual citizenship with a country whose government policy, is we kill homosexuals, I'm running for mayor of New York, yeah, I would renounce that citizenship.
Yeah.
And that's why we know it's a loser when people like Bill Maher come out and go, guys, you gotta stop this.
Right.
You just gotta stop this.
Right.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Idling a diesel uses about a gallon of fuel per hour, which can cost you about $180 per week at $4.50 per gallon if your truck idles 8 hours a day. Idling easily can cost you a few thousand more in fuel alone per year, not including the added engine maintenance expense that results from excessive idling. In addition to operating costs, many governments impose no idling laws and regulations with fines as high as $25,000. Instead, there are many alternatives: an extra blanket for cold temperatures, window screens for when the weather is warm, bunk heaters, and various auxiliary power unit options abound in this day and age too, many powered just by batteries. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more details on this and many other topics.
Brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up on the bottom of the hour, our Senator John Kennedy audio cut. We've always got to play one.
Yeah.
And a little bit about the shutdown. You know, I just found this interesting just because we talk about where the country's going to be in 50 years, 100 years. You and I remember some of the population experts have talked about that in 75 years, that the biggest state by far will be Texas.
Yeah, right.
Well over 100 million people, and they believe that, was it North Texas, where we are, Dallas-Fort Worth, will be 35 million people.
Right, yeah.
And they talk about that the center, for example, some believe that the financial centers aren't going to be in the Northeast anymore. It's not going to be in New York.
Right.
It's going to be, Dallas. Texas is trying to get it. Miami's trying, Florida, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Really interesting article in the Wall Street Journal editorial board. The Y'all Street tax plan for Texas, 3 ballot measures that would help extend the state's financial services boom.
Yeah.
That specifically these 3 things on the ballot. 1, a ban on capital gains taxes in the state. The Texas Constitution already prohibits taxes on income of any kind, but in Washington State, remember, they're trying to make sure that you can't sneak it in through some kind of calling it some other kind of tax,
right.
as they did in Washington State.
Mm-hmm.
Another measure would ban taxes on certain financial transactions, as well as fees on finance employees. That would block the enactment of nickel and dime fees on the Texas stock exchange. The third measure would bar Texas from imposing an estate tax. But they say they're doing all of this, that they're looking at Texas saying, okay, Texas is getting ready for the future. These places where high finance is today don't want to stay there, and they're looking to get out, and Florida and Texas are looking for a way to get them there long term.
Hollywood is leaving California more and more and more. I had a friend, in fact, talked to recently that lives out there, and he's worked in Hollywood for years, and he's like, it's dying quickly.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Yeah, I just wanted to bring up, and we may get into that on some other day when we talk about, where the states are going, because it's a part of the conversation that we've had with the changing demographics, with people leaving the blue states, with the high cost of living in blue states.
Yeah.
What's going to happen over the next couple of decades? It's always fascinating to talk about that. And when you see, for example, because part of the projection was that Miami, and this is when they went back and looked at where the population is going to be in the United States. Mm-hmm. But they said a lot of the financial business will be done in Texas and Miami. Miami might be the capital of all finances in the United States in 75 years, was what they were projecting. And California really wouldn't see much of a population increase, where Texas would be over 100 million. And, oh, my gosh, I don't know if I won't be alive to see it. I don't know if I want to be alive to see it.
Yeah.
35 million people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Yeah, no, I'm out. Seriously, I'm out. That's
and unlike Chicago, we will not be counting us.
Well, to give you an example,
We'll be dead.
We're growing so fast. The local No Kings protests were going to try and block the freeways, but they got stuck in the construction traffic on their way. So,
but it's really interesting to see how the states are setting up long term.
Yeah,
the state of Texas, that's setting up long term.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's all set
that's
up
what you want.
It's all set up to get everything that they're doing is to get business and industry here.
Yep. But that's the whole thing is that because you make it attractive for business and industry and people, because the business and industry needs the people. They need to be able to populate the jobs, and it's much cheaper to have that pool of potential applicants and workers already there, as opposed to migrating them, bringing them from other states. And so you make it a great place to basically work and live, and that's good for business, that's good for people. And it's not that tough. It's not that hard of an approach. Remember when Gavin Newsom was lieutenant governor of California, and he says, I'm taking a trip to Texas and to see how they're getting all these things done.
Jeez, that was
so stupid. Because it's not that difficult.
All right, where are we with the shutdown? Let's hear from Senator Rand Paul, who, by the way, has voted against the Republicans' CR.
Right.
All right. So what does he think should be done? All right, here we go. This was on Fox News Sunday.
The current Democrat subsidies give a person who makes $225,000 $1,200 a year. If you make $225,000 a year, you don't need the government subsidizing your insurance. So I don't think the subsidies are working. I'm open to discussing it. I think if you put Senator Kaine and I in a room, I think we could figure something out. And that's part of the solution. I suggest that President Trump come forward and name 3 Republicans and 3 Democrats in the Senate to an official commission to figure this out over a 1-month period and come back with a solution. But in exchange for that, I think the Democrats need to open the government for a month, and then we need to pay the workers, pay our soldiers, and then I think we could come to a solution. But there has to be something different. It can't be the same old, because just subsidizing insurance raises the cost of insurance, enriches the insurance company, and we're still, behind the 8 ball as far as insurance.
What I don't understand by his comment is he won't even vote for this continuing resolution.
Yeah.
He won't vote for this continuing resolution because he believes it spends too much, not too little. It spends too much. And now he's saying that we need to get 3 Republicans and 3 Democrats. Open up the government now, get 3 Republicans and 3 Democrats in an official commission to figure this out. Well, they're going to be way above what you want to begin with.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't understand his comment yesterday. No. When I saw that on Sunday, I was like, I don't understand where he's going on this. He will not vote. One of the no votes for the continuing resolution from a Republican side, the only no vote is him.
Right.
And he's saying, well, we can't subsidize the rich guy, but we got to subsidize what? Everybody else? I don't know the point that Rand Paul's trying to make. If you're saying that right now the Republicans are spending way too much, that you can't vote for it, how can you believe the solution is for the president to name 3 Republicans and 3 Democrats together to come up with a compromise when you don't even want what the Republicans want, which is way below what the Democrats want?
Well, I mean, it's whatever compromise that those 6 come up with, he's going to vote no on.
Like,
yeah.
And quickly, I want to make sure we at least get this in now. The World Series and the World Series ad on tariffs. And look, I'm not going to get into for a little bit here. We've said this before. When it comes to tariffs, every president has used tariffs one way or another. When it comes to our enemies, when it comes to somebody involved in unfair trade practices, whatever, every president has used it. This president has used it, though, to extents that, just to bring Reagan in, that Reagan never did and Reagan never thought of doing.
Right.
Okay, to make the compromise. Right. If Trump is trying to make the compromise that he has the same opinion on tariffs as Reagan did, no, he did not. Did Reagan issue tariffs? Yes, very targeted. But I think that you know what? I'll just tell you what my first thought was. My first thought was when he came out after the province of Ontario came out with that ad, and he said you distorted what Reagan, you took it out of context what Reagan meant, and the Reagan Library said the same thing, but I don't know specifically what they took out of context. All I know is they generally did not have the same view of tariffs. How Trump has initiated them with Reagan. Reagan would have never gone this far with what they're doing. But what I found interesting was the fact that because of the ad, he slapped an extra 10% on. When he did that, my first thought was he's trying to find a way out.
On the whole SCOTUS thing, give SCOTUS a reason.
Give SCOTUS a reason because he's just giving SCOTUS a reason for the opposition to come up and say, look, Trump will raise tariffs because he doesn't like an ad that a province put out in Canada, so he's increased tariffs 10%.
Right.
He didn't do it because of a trade emergency. He did it because remember, he negotiated the trade agreement. He alone negotiated the trade agreement. And to me, when I saw it, I said, he's trying to get the Supreme Court. That's the thought that went through my head. He's trying to get the Supreme Court to say tariffs are unconstitutional because it's his only way out.
It could be.
Politically. I don't know whether it's true or not. That's the first thought that came to my head because it was so obvious that Congress never dictated the president of the United States to raise tariffs on a country because he didn't like a political ad.
Right.
No, and that's the first thought that came through my mind is, look, he doesn't know how to get out of this.
Yeah, if you take a step back and look at the situation that is the whole tariff situation right now, you have a number in the GOP on Capitol Hill that are not happy with the tariffs. Now, they haven't been extremely vocal about it, but that the word has been out for quite some time. That, especially if you're in the House, you're dealing with that. The districts are, again, sounding off. All those districts are sounding off to their reps. And we know that when the bonds issue happened, though there were several GOP senators that got on the phone with President Trump, met with him that night, and then it was the next morning that Scott Bessent was in the president's office and talking to him, saying, we've got to do something. And there was this change. The point being is the GOP has a number of its members on Capitol Hill that are greatly concerned about tariffs. And they're not about to bring a vote to do something about it. You can't do that. Politically, you can't do that. That would not work at all. And because they could probably get enough Democrats on board to do something about it, but it's not going to happen. You don't want to do that. So what's the option then? You either, if you're against the tariffs and you're in the GOP, you just cross your fingers, SCOTUS does something about it? Or is there conversation right now? Scott Bessent himself has said repeatedly, this is a tax on businesses. The importers pay this. We can have a debate about how much is absorbed by who and how much is passed on to the consumer, but the problem is you've got a real issue right now with jobs. Inflation isn't fully tamed. Prices aren't coming down. And you're heading into a midterm, and President Trump needs to keep his party in power at that midterm. We all want that. So if that's your only issue right now, he's doing all of these other great things. And if that's your only issue, what's your fix? One of them would be, it doesn't fix everything, but one of them would be have one set, straight, boom, solid policy, something you and I have been saying for months. Whatever you're going to do on tariffs, do it and be done with it.
Yeah. Every month there's uncertainty, and then, how come the Bureau of Labor Statistics were able to release the inflation numbers on Friday with the government closed? I didn't see an answer to that question.
Yeah, I don't know.
Everything was at 3%. Core inflation, 3%.
Yes. Yeah.
Consumer price index, 3%.
Right.
See the Wall Street Journal, is the new 2%, 3%?
Right.
Because the administration is claiming victory. It's like, it's been going up.
Right.
Yeah. And remember, 3% on top of everything that we've seen. And you can do everything right. And if you don't get prices right, who else said it when we were on vacation? Somebody else said it too. Another advisor to the president. We've got to get prices under control.
Right.
After we noted, I think it was 3 different former J.D. Vance, President Trump advisors that said they've got to get prices under control.
Well, and that's good. Look, at the very least, you're going to have to just set the tone so that the marketplace knows what is what. Because if it's believed that you're going to respond to certain things, all right, I don't like that ad, 10% more tariffs. China's a different monster altogether. And apparently they got that TikTok thing worked out. And it looks good on the tariff situation, at least for the moment. But again, that's the problem. You don't know. There's too many question marks. And what does that mean? Business can't make long-term investment. And there's the problem, which includes investing in people, hiring people, because you think business is going to grow.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Eric, one of the things we've talked about is, the figure of 3%, the consumer price index up 3%, core inflation 3%. That's year to year. But it's what people actually use, what the vast majority of the population buys all the time.
Yeah.
And this is where the problem is. Coffee, 18.9% increase in a year. Beef and veal, 15%.
Yeah.
Candy, chewing gum, 9.8%. Frozen non-carbonated juices and drinks, 9.6%. Bananas, 7%. Frozen fish and seafood, 6.6%. Bacon, 5.8%. Sweet rolls, coffee cakes, and donuts, 5.5%. Apples, 5.3%. Canned fruits and vegetables, 5%. Lettuce, 4.2%. Lunch meats, 4.1%. Way over 3% right there. Food away from home, full-service meals and snacks, 4.2%. Energy, now we're entering winter. Here we go. Utility pipe gas service, natural gas, 11.7% from last year to this year. What will it be now? Who knows? Electricity, 5.1%. Other items, gardening and lawn care services, up 14%. Audio equipment, 13.6%. Motor vehicle repair, 11.5%.
And what's not going up anywhere close to those numbers? Incomes, earnings.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.